Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner Horror Podcast. I'm your host as always, Corey, and episode number 6, phenomenal episode, and I'm really excited about this one. It's from 1960, and starring Christopher Lee in City of the Dead. Now, this movie starts out with Christopher Lee obviously telling a story that occurred in the 1600s. Basically, it's about this witch who was being accused of being a witch, and she was being burned at the stake. Her name was Elizabeth, and she basically couldn't get out of this situation. She realizes that, so she puts a small curse on the town, or I guess she just puts a curse on the town, and basically fast forwards to years later, and like I said, Christopher Lee was telling the story, and he was telling the story to his students in his college class. So Christopher Lee actually is a professor. Anyways, so one of his students one of his students, Nan, she wants to basically do a little bit of research in one of these small towns that dealt with witchcraft, and she actually wants to write a piece on it. But her brother, who is a professor at this college as well, and her boyfriend kind of disapprove of this, but she kind of just is headstrong, so she just goes against their will anyways, and goes to Christopher Lee, in which he refers her to go to Whitewood, where this where the story took place, in which he also sends her to a place called Raven's Claw, I believe. That was the hotel she's going to stay at. Anyway, so he refers her to there. So she leaves, and she gets there, and strange things start happening. Not right away, but they start to happen to her. Like even at one point, she's like hearing some sounds coming from the floorboards in her room, in which they instructed that there was nothing there. But she ends up finding a hatch in her room and going down into the cellar, where she kind of sticks her nose in some business that she shouldn't be. And things happen badly to her in that situation. Anyways, so jumping to about 2 weeks later, basically her brother and her boyfriend haven't heard from her. And they start to get a little worried and kind of curious. It's just not like her, just not to call or show up or nothing. So they end up starting to investigate, and they end up going to Whitewood, where she was, and they start sticking their nose into business they shouldn't, and things start escalating even more rapidly. So I'm just going to leave it there. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you check it out. So my thoughts on this, let's go ahead and talk about that. I love this movie. This movie is phenomenal. Honestly, I actually kind of disappointed myself a little bit, because I watched it like on a nice sunny hot afternoon, and honestly, this is a very atmospheric movie, so it should be played like, cool weather, or something like that. And I don't know, I'm just atmospheric like that. But even like I was kind of like, man, it should have been raining outside for me to watch this, like thunder and lightning. It would have been awesome to watch this. Yeah, this movie runs 78 minutes long, and it delivers the whole way. And that's pretty cool for a black and white. Black and white sometimes tends to not keep my attention, but this one, it did. But yeah, it's one of my favorite black and white films that I have in my collection. It's just sad that I don't watch it enough. But maybe I will pop this in on a rainy day sometime soon. Hopefully it rains soon. But, yeah. One thing that did surprise me is that they really try and have a sell point on Christopher Lee in this movie, and yet he's not even a main character in this movie. The story evolves around Nan. So I believe she's the main character of the film. But yeah, basically, I just honestly can't say anything bad about this. This is a great movie. And believe it or not, the BCI, the VCI release is really good. I gotta admit that. I think I have a couple VCIs that just aren't that great, but this one here is pretty decent actually. As of right now, I don't know if there's a Blu-ray release of this, but I wouldn't mind getting a Blu-ray copy that's a little cleaned up. It was a little bit grainy, but it just added to the black and white. One thing I can say about this, and this is what sets the atmosphere for me, is the usage of fog in this. So, you know, that's been done like on the fog, but yeah, this one delivered on fog, and everything else was pretty cool. And also there was a scene where Nan actually, when I was talking about where she goes down into the hatch in her room, and as she goes down in there, there's like cobwebs, just like, you know, where she's like batting at them and stuff, and it looks real for a 1960s film. That's really good. But yeah, the budget was actually 45,000 British pounds, in which I believe that's low budget, even for them, because that probably equals out to about like 50,000 US, or maybe a little bit more. Yeah, if you haven't seen this or heard of this, I highly recommend this. This is a fun film. I just can't honestly say enough about this. Go check it out. All right. So, I just wanted to do something real quick for everyone that's been, you know, subscribing and commenting. Wanted to say a special thanks to Chris McElroy, also known as FC. Thanks for subscribing. Also, Daniel Jones, also known as Frosty. Thank you for subscribing. And big shout out to Ozark Mountain Hunter Juan. Thank you. And also a quick shout out to all my commenters. I appreciate all the comments and all the subscribers. So we'll give those names. Gael Blocks, thank you for commenting, and Jacob Cash, and also Zombie Killer 333. Thank you for commenting. Appreciate it. You guys are keeping me going. Can't say enough about it. Just keep my videos going, and keep liking, sharing, subscribing. Also, check me out on Facebook, guys. Send people my way. I got a Facebook group, and maybe I'll put a link down below so you guys can click on that and just go to it. But yeah, anyways, you guys have a good one. And also, I watched a movie tonight, so I will be doing another review possibly tomorrow. I'll try and get that out to you guys. It'll definitely be out before Sunday, though. All right, later.